Great question. Why girls like mean guys? That's a very inaccurate statement. As we all know, this universe is a universe of balance. And to understand balance, we must always talk about juxtaposition, comparing opposites, yin and yang. Without the presence of both, you're always going to have an inaccurate understanding of how the universe works, because the universe is an incredibly spherical, wholesome universe, okay? The reason why girls like mean and nice guys, okay, and not just one or the other. If you're predominantly nice with some level of meanness, that could work. Or you are incredibly mean with a smidge of niceness, that could work. Those are more of the extreme ends of things, okay? But girls generally prefer both. I'd like to use the rubber band as an example as to why girls like mean guys. Think of it this way. When you have a rubber band in front of you, put it between two fingers and stretch it apart. One hand moving it left, the right hand moving it right. What you're doing here is that you're polarizing this rubber band. And as you are polarizing, what we can witness is that the other points on the rubber band along the circumference of the rubber band collapse to the center, okay? And this tells you that in a spherical world, that when you polarize being mean and also nice to a girl, you are bringing about ethereal energy into the center of this polarized phenomena, okay? So therefore, you are, and this energy tends to be incredibly new. It's renewed, and based on the idea of exchange, because as you are being nice and mean to her, and collectively over time, you are depositing energy and stretching her and polarizing her. And as you are stretching and polarizing her, something has to fill in that space. And that something is ethereal energy. Remember, one's physical, as you're depositing energy and being nice to her, whether that's giving her flowers, being mean, telling her the truth about her looking better in perhaps purple than she does brown, which could make her upset at you, could tell her that she's gained weight from eating nonstop at a buffet when she could have balanced herself out by just moderating herself, etc. Those are the kind of things that polarizes her, because she's thinking, you're supposed to like me. How in the world could you be so mean, right? But from another perspective, honesty could be seen as such a golden trait within a person. For you to be honest is such a valuable thing to your relationship, but for her to deem that being mean, it's very unsettling for her. So in that instance, she is polarized, right? As she is polarized, energy is entering into the space with, unbeknownst to her, it's collapsing into the center. She doesn't know what she's feeling. Human beings typically are just programmed responses to what's happening underneath, which the metaphysician understands. Okay? I'll give you an example that hopefully kind of drives this point home. Take, for instance, if I were to like a girl who I just met, say she's an assistant at the dental office, I can approach her and I could be nice to her. She may not like me because I'm not her type. I just don't look the part, right? I'm short. Maybe I'm too skinny for her. She prefers someone tall. I could present her with a flower as being nice to her, you know? So for someone that being nice to someone who doesn't like you is quite interesting, because that person could find you quite repulsive, right? She's thinking the more you give her flowers, the more she's going to think, okay, I don't want it anymore. She could either deflect you, or she could over time become smitten by the process, okay? But let's just say she doesn't like you because this is where most guys tend to be, because we could be quite insecure in the ways in which we think about how people feel about us. So let's just say you're insecure about this situation, and say you give her flowers, just express how much you like her, and that's to say she rejects you, and instead of being nice to you, she takes you for granted, and ultimately, which leads her to being mean to you, which is a common occurrence between a guy and a girl, especially where one is infatuated with another person, unrequitedly, so to speak, and in which case, when she responds to you in a mean way, when she acts mean towards you, now all of a sudden you just created a polarized dynamic between you and her. You've added energy, niceness into this particular space that you two are in. She's adding mean energy. Now all of a sudden there's life within the space between you and her. You are polarizing the space together. You are creating life together. Okay? She doesn't know what's about to happen. She acts mean to you. This gives you energy, and this gives you a reason to be mean back to her in response. What can you do then? You could confront her and say, hey, I just didn't realize, I just wasted so much time on you to only discover that you're such a bitch, that you could turn someone who's just trying to be nice, friendly, who appreciates you for what you are, and you could turn around and be mean to that person. I just find you incredibly despicable. Screw you. I don't like you anymore. You're just a repulsive person to me now. I just don't want to be around negative energy like you. Because if that's how you feel, just let it out, because typically that's generally how a normal person would react. Because if someone acts mean to you, you have all the right in the world to respond to that person, your honest feelings. Just express your honest feelings towards her. And if you feel even a smidge of disdain, hurt, fire that back onto her, because in doing so, or in so doing, you are further polarizing that space between you and her. And now, because there's already life in this particular space between you and her, this life, this relationship, in order for it to sustain, it needs contrasting energy. So for you to be mean to her, which is next up, you're nice, she's mean, now you're mean back to her, guess what has to happen? She has to be nice to you in order for balance to be restored in the space that you and her had already created. The life, the baby that which you and her have already created. By just you being nice at the get-go, at the start, her responding in negatively towards this, or perhaps, stoically, maybe she didn't care for it. She's just adding neutral energy, But in either case, you could always close that dynamic when you keep your eyes open to what she's doing to you. If she expresses, obviously, that she likes you, then you're golden. If she's adding negative energy, being mean to you, you're golden, because you now know what to do. If she's adding neutral energy, all that is required is for you to continue to be nice to her until that neutral energy becomes either nice, in which means she likes you, or negative energy, which means you are next up to act. Lord, this is fun to talk about. I hope that solves any kind of mystery you have about that paradox as to why girls like mean guys, as to why that type of dynamics tends to happen. But the reality now, is that girls really like mean and nice guys concurrently, simultaneously. Both traits are likable. They're equally as detestable. Okay? I hope you guys enjoy your weekend coming up, and feel free to ask any other questions, because I am full of good stuff. And when I get inspired by these questions, these engagement, I'm going to give back to you guys. And if I don't, just keep asking away. Take care. Peace.